good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
So happy to be here this lovely Thursday morning, the 19th day of October 2023. Bitrus Adamu Eji remains my name, the anchor of Unity Train on Unity 93.3 FM and TV. We are reaching you live from the city of Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria. Remember, home of peace and tourism. And of course, you cannot afford to live in chaos in a city as ours, home of peace and tourism. And in the studio this morning, I'm not alone. I have a usual colleague and friend. You may even want to call him my brother. That would be an honor to me. Mr. Shaibu Doro is in the house. Shaibu, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kulbi. Good morning, viewer and listener. Thank you for staying tuned.
Of course, you may want to see Doro live today. If you've never been there on our Facebook page, please, you just do the needful. Just go Unity Radio FM/TV Jos. You will get to see Doro, how he is looking this very lovely Thursday morning. I don't want to say it, but of course, if you tune, you get to see him, and you would be the one to comment. And so, thank you. Of course, in the studio this morning, our guest for the next segment is already seated, and maybe I would just let him be for now. But of course, he's in the studio. I will introduce him later on. But for now, let's begin the business of this very segment. Before we begin, don't forget Unity FM has an offer for you. And what is that? Unity Academy is a lovely one. And I will let Doro to say something just so for you to get to know some more about the training which is coming your way anytime soon. Doro?
Yeah, well, the program is, like we have always said, it's a 4-month program, right? And of course, students will have an opportunity to learn, some of the technical aspects of, the theory and practice of journalism. Use of English, script writing, program presentation, online journalism, and a whole lot of other things. So the 4 months period will be a period of extensive, teaching on, various aspects of journalism, like I've mentioned, and all of that. And of course, students will actually have, the opportunity also to actually, put into practice or to practice, some of the things they will be learning in class and all of that, because of course this is already a media, establishment where we have, facilities and equipment that, students can actually use to, learn some of the practical aspects of what they will be learning in class, and all of that. So I think it's actually a total package as far as, the program is concerned. And of course, sales of forms, have already commenced. The cost for each form, I think, is 5,000 or thereabout. And the cost of the program, the entire 4 months, I think, is 52,500 for those who might be interested. For now, I think that's what our listener and viewer might need to know about it. And of course, applicants are already trooping in to purchase the form and all of that. So there are very, very limited copies available, and if you don't hurry up, you might just be missing out, and I'm sure you can't afford that.
Yes, of course. Honorable Commissioner for Science and Technology, Plateau State, is in the studio. I will not say his name for now. Just stay tuned. I just wanted to have more reason to stay tuned and keep your dialogue locked. Yes, of course. And so you may want to stay around so that when we get to that segment, you get to know some more and the topic for today. But for now, even what we'll be doing on this segment has to do with our listener and our viewer. This one say, make food available and affordable. NBS.
National Bureau of Statistics.
Yes, and affordable.
Yeah.
I just want to see the point that is here. When you say make it affordable, it means that every other person should be able to afford it. So I think I love it there. The word affordable.
Yeah, definitely. It should not just be available. It should also be accessible. And of course, affordable. Of course, if it's affordable, then of course it becomes also accessible. That there's no point, having food and then you can't actually access or afford it. It doesn't make, it becomes a mirage, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. And the NBS is actually, calling on the federal government to see what it can do to make sure that Nigerians are able to afford food, especially in these times when, of course, economic conditions seem to be deteriorating on a daily basis. Some of the policies that government has actually had to take, have actually, brought about lots and lots of hardship, and economic hardships and all of that. And so the NBS is actually saying that if something is not done, of course, we might just be in for another round of food crisis, and the nation can't afford that, especially, given our size, our population and all of that. This is the issue. At the moment, food inflation has already hit 30%. Right,
yeah.
As against 26% or thereabout a few months ago, and all of that. And so what that actually means is that, it's becoming more and more difficult now for Nigerian citizens to be able to afford food, especially staples, rice, beans, eggs, yams and the rest. It's becoming more and more difficult. And of course, again, like we have always said, subsidy removal has actually, sort of a weakened purchasing power further. Right, this is the issue. You're having to spend more money on fuel, and then of course, don't forget that because the economy is monocultural, because the economy is sort of solely reliant on fuel. You discover that it actually has a sort of a contagious effect. Right, once subsidy is removed, or once anything happens to oil, which is the country's major source of revenue, it does normally have a ripple effect. It tends to affect every other thing. This is the issue. And that might just be why, our food is now becoming more and more expensive, because, of course, the farmer who actually has to, fuel his car, or his, motorcycle to go to farm actually has to pay more for the 1 or 2 liters of oil he will need to actually fuel his his motorcycle or vehicle and all of that. And then even after production, he also has to sort of transport or move the product or the harvest from point A to point B. And that also will necessitate buying, fuel and things like that. This is the issue. And so you discover that once anything happens to fuel or oil, which is the country's major source of revenue, it tends to have a contagious effect. And I think that is actually, what is going on. This is the issue. And then, it is happening at a time when, there hasn't been any commensurate increase in purchasing power. Salaries have not increased. The NLC and the government have continued to, well, nobody even knows what's going on now and all of that. The NLC is, actually trying to, compel government to increase salaries, and all of that. But apparently the government is not even willing to do that. And all of that. So you see, that is actually what is going on. And so the NBS is actually saying that in the coming months, if something is not done to sort of reverse this situation, Nigerians might go hungry. Well, Nigerians are hungry already, but Nigerians could go much hungrier,
yes.
Right? And you can't be talking about national development with a hungry population. It doesn't ever work. People have to be, I always say this, and people have always said Nigeria's population might just be an economic burden, right? But again, on the flip side, you could also argue that the population could, well, at the moment, yeah, I do know that the population is mounting or putting too much pressure, on public utilities, available resources and things like that. But again, if you can guarantee the health and the education and the well-being of the population, it could even be an asset. China is an example, isn't it?
Great
this
advantage.
Is the issue. Yeah, it could be an asset. But of course, you can't be talking about making your population an asset if the population is hungry. This is the issue. And so something needs to be done about this. Now, what are the issues, or what are the other issues that need to actually be looked at? Of course, according even to the NBS, one of the reasons the country is now facing a possible food insecurity or scarcity is the lingering security situation in the country, or the persistent insecurity problems in the country, and all of that. Of course, we have always said this. In certain parts of northern Nigeria now, there are places where farmers can literally or practically not even go to farms because of,
or even have to pay some.
In some situations, terrorists or insurgents or bandits have practically imposed levies on farmers, and things like that. So this is the situation. In some other cases, because of recurrent conflicts between farmers and herders, you have a situation where farmers are now afraid of going to farm, and we've always said this. Both farmers and herders are actually partners in progress, aren't they? Because if you, even in our elementary definition of agriculture, it's we always say that it's production and rearing of animals. So food production, and in fact, animals are also a source of food, aren't they? Yes, that's the issue. And so when we talk about food or agriculture, we're not just talking about yam and maize and cocoyam and all of. We're also talking about animals, right, and things like that. So both farmers and herders are actually partners in progress and things like. But you see, because of the recurrent conflicts between them, we have a situation where food production has actually dropped, drastically, and things like that. So this is something that actually needs to be looked at, and all of that. And then, of course, even climate change, right? Climate change, according to reports, is now resulting in desertification. Lands are gradually drying up, as a result of which they become agriculturally unusable, and things like that. So perhaps, of course, the government has to do something to address this issue, of climate change and things like that. At the end of the day, Nigerians actually have to be able to eat and drink and be comfortable. Like the president will always say, let the masses breathe. But I don't know how the masses can actually breathe if they don't, have food on the table.
What is exciting, Mr. Doro? What is exciting is that our government seem to be aware of the plight of its people. And so whenever they come to say something about it, they give you some sort of relief, believing, of course, those whom are saddled with the responsibility of making sure things work. If they would say that they are aware, then it gives you an assurance that anytime soon you would, of course, be thrown out of the harsh situations. But this has been for a very long time that most Nigerians are beginning to wonder if ever this is coming to be anything to want to associate with,
The issue here could be, I think, is that of implementation, right? Policy implementation. Experts will always talk about policy somersault and things like that. It's not even like there are no existing, policies, economic policies to address some of these issues. There are, but the problem has always been, the political will to actually, see the way. Just yesterday or the day before, we were talking about, Nigeria's proposed budget for 2024, which is set to be around 26 trillion. And we were actually saying it's not how much you're proposing as budget for a particular year or for a particular fiscal year. It's about how much you are able to see to the effective implementation of the budget, right? At the end of the day, if the budget is just 1 trillion and then you can ensure its effective implementation, I think it's better than proposing trillions of naira that will end up just being a mirage and all of that. This is so the same thing actually applies to this particular situation. Even the NBS itself has lamented, the lack of political will to implement certain existing economic policies and things like that. This is the issue. Now the government has actually said that the issue of food security, has now actually become, part of the job description of the Ministry of Agriculture. At the end of the day, why do we even have a Ministry of Agriculture that can't even guarantee, food security and things like that? But is that actually going to come to be? It remains to be seen what the Ministry of Agriculture will actually do about this particular situation. Okay. So at the end of the day, I think it's about the political will to put, to actually implement some of these existing policies that will translate into tangibles as far as some of these economic situations are concerned.
All right, let's go to seeing this one that is obtainable on The Nation. It says Nigeria lost the 2.9 trillion between 2018 and 2023.
That's in 5 years.
And then, so we have just 10 minutes to go on this.
Okay, well, even if it's the only one we can take, we might have to just make do with that. According to, of course, the new EFCC chairman, Olukoyede, was being screened yesterday, or was being cleared, or was being confirmed yesterday, by the Senate, and he actually made this startling revelation while answering questions, from from the senators and things like that, and he was actually confessing that Nigeria has lost as much as 2.9 trillion, in just a matter of 5 years. Could be, anytime we have an opportunity to speak on these issues, I always do recall, the words of David Cameron, one time, PM of Britain. He actually did say that if, the United Kingdom had lost what Nigeria has lost over the years, to corruption, the UK would literally not be in existence by now. This is, the damage that corruption, has done to the country. I think it's heartbreaking, for a country to have lost as much as 2.9 trillion in just a matter of 5 years. This is the damage that corruption has done to the country. And like some people will always say, corruption is like HIV and AIDS, right? Which actually destroys the, the inbuilt, immune system of the body and renders it susceptible to all manner of diseases. I think corruption has done that to Nigeria. It has, sort of destroyed or weakened the, system's immunity and rendered it to all manner of diseases, whether it's the disease of poverty, unemployment, insurgency, and all of that. That's what's going on. I am happy that, Olukoyede himself did actually make a certain confession. He did say, for example, that if, we had not lost as much as 2.9 trillion in just a matter of 5 years, by now, we would have been able to build 1,000 kilometers of roads. That's what he said.
Yes.
But, of course, it didn't happen because the money is not there.
Just like I said, when you hear them say this, you would just be so optimistic that something is going to happen anytime soon.
Yes.
But it has been. We've heard revelations like this from people who come to defend some certain appointments or the other. But what have we seen?
The problem has always been, like we said earlier,
The
problem has always been walking the talk, right? And of course, he was responding to questions, from senators, during confirmation and things like that. So he must have done his due diligence. He must have done his background work. And how did he get to know all these things? He must have done his background work and things like that, just to be able to respond. But the problem is not how much we talk. It's about how much we're able to actually, put into practice, the things we actually say and things like that. Olukoyede did say that Nigeria would have been able to build at least 1,000 kilometers of roads with that money. We also would have been able to, educate at least, 6,000 children from primary to tertiary levels at 16 million naira per child. We also will have been able to deliver at least 20,000 units of 3-bedroom houses across the country. We also will have been able to, give at least a teaching hospital to each of the 36 states of the federation, including the the FCT. If we had not lost this much, to corruption, that is the problem. So you can then see, the enormity of the challenge on our hands as far as, the menace of corruption is concerned. But what is the problem? I think, anytime we talk about corruption, we also need to look at the systemic, factors that might be giving rise to some of these things, right? Because, like the HAUSA person will say, right? This is the issue. Now, if Nigerian citizens are guilty of corruption, there might just be something within the system that is probably serving as an incentive or probably, reinforcing the propensity to engage in corruption. Of course, Olukoyede did mention, corruption, among civil servants and things like that, which he decried because it's a serious situation.
Yes.
Today in Nigeria, you can literally not go to, it's difficult for a certain responsibility to be carried out in any of government ministries or departments or agency without monies exchanging hands. You've heard about the brown envelope syndrome and things like that. But what is the problem? I feel you don't blame the civil servant for being tempted to engage in certain unwholesome or unethical tendencies and things like that. This is the issue. Of course, Olukoyede himself did confess that civil servants now live a sort of lifestyle that ordinarily their official entitlements can actually not afford. And I do agree with him, right? This is the issue. But the problem again is, do you want a Nigerian professor to put in years of service and retire without a home? Is that acceptable? Do you want a director in a ministry to put in 30 years of service and retire without a home? Do you want a civil servant who started job 30 years ago and is facing retirement now to, retire without even, an automobile or something of that nature. This is the issue. And we have seen situations where, civil servants actually retire without even being able to access their retirement benefits, whether it's gratuity or pensions and things like that. Some of them have literally died on hospital beds due to inability to afford, the cost of health services and things like that. This is the situation. So what are you doing to improve the welfare, the service conditions of Nigerian civil servants, so that you actually reduce the propensity or the temptation to engage in certain unethical practices? Just a few days ago, we were talking about the corruption that has actually infected or infested the defense sector, as a result of which you now have a situation where it's virtually difficult to now find a policeman who doesn't engage in the taking bribe and things like that. But what is the problem? How much do you pay the police officer who spends the whole day on checkpoints and things like that? How much do you pay them?
How much
this is the issue. So you see,
I love it that you're looking at their own welfare as well.
Definitely, these are issues we need to look at. These are issues where, when we were doing or celebrating World Teachers Day, we did say something. We did say something about the service condition of Nigerian teachers. This is the issue. Immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari had always mouthed the idea of actually improving the welfare conditions of teachers, but it didn't actually live to see the light of the day. This is the issue. There are teachers who have literally retired and they don't even have homes of their own and things like that. Sometimes it takes, some of the students they had taught years ago, for them to get some solace and things like that. This is the situation. So if you have an opportunity to, engage in one or two, practices that will translate into more money, and make it possible for you to buy a car or an automobile, you will actually want to do that. This is the situation. So I think these are actually things that, we actually need to look at if we really want to wage a serious war against, corruption. And then, of course, even the political class themselves. You have politics has literally been commercialized, right? This is the issue. Just a few days ago, I got is it Godwin Mogalu or what is his name? Former deputy CBN, a governor. He was actually saying the governance culture in Nigeria actually itself sort of serves as an incentive for corrupt tendencies. This is the issue. The amount, the obscene amount of money that politicians are entitled to has literally commercialized or commodified, politics, and that's not actually supposed to be. And that has also been, one of the sources of corruption in this country and things like that. So these are things that actually need to be looked at if we really want to wage a serious war against corruption. And then, of course, while I don't know much about Olukoyede, but according to what we've heard, of course, some reports have it that he actually was sacked at some point in time when he served as secretary to the embattled EFCC chairman, Abdul Rashid Bawa, and things like that. I don't know much about his antecedents and all of that, but I'm saying that if you have people with questionable antecedents, being entrusted with sacred responsibilities, I don't know, what we feel is likely to change. This is the issue. But I want to say that if you want to actually fight corruption, you have to actually, look for people with proven integrity, people who will not be susceptible to, certain, negative tendencies and things like that. This is the issue. Abdul Rashid Bawa is now in the police custody, but he was the EFCC chairman and all of that. So, Medo Kambachine Akage Kume Bigeda. I think these are things when you can't say somebody must not sleep when you are cock slumbering. It doesn't work.
All right, I would have loved we go on a short break, but of course we cannot do that without getting to see. This one has to do with me and everyone. It says, global crisis. Africa must rise to protect its citizens from being casualties. This one is credited to Fayemi. Africa must rise.
Yeah.
I love the way these headlines puts it. Africa must rise.
Definitely.
Must rise.
Yeah.
So it gives you a sense of now is the time.
Definitely, this is the time.
According to the speaker.
Yeah, well, Fayemi, immediate past governor of, which of the state, Ekiti State, Dr. Fayemi. He was speaking on at the forum yesterday or the day before, and he was actually saying that, the socio-political conditions around the world are actually changing, and Africa needs to see what it can do to protect its own citizens. And I think, at the end of the day, it could be, like Aristotle will always say, the state emerged for the sake of good life and continues to exist for the sake of better life. So if after 20 years of democracy, we can look back and say these are the gains we have made, this is how much improvement we've been able to record in socio-economic conditions, I think it will only have been an exercise in futility. And I think that is what countries, especially in Africa, need to prioritize. We are sort of locked up in a global in a global economic or political architecture that doesn't seem to give a level playing ground, for countries around the world. I've always said this, Kobe. This is the issue. Even during the United Nations General Assembly, which had the theme reinforcing trust, and all of that. I can't recall that verbatim. The question we have always asked is this: how can you have, how can you reignite trust among peoples of the world, among countries of the world, if you have, an economic or a political architecture that doesn't give a fair advantage to, less privileged countries and things like that? This is the issue. And so I feel that the call, by Fayemi is quite instructive. African nations need to heal themselves of this begging bow syndrome. Always running, from pillar to pole, cap in hand, looking for, where to borrow money. Is something that should not actually be. This is the issue, because it's as a result of this, helplessness. It's as a result of this inferiority complex that Africa has actually failed to take its rightful place in the scheme of things. And I feel that sometimes if we don't learn to defy some of these neoliberal prescriptions, either by the World Bank or the IMF, we will not actually, emancipate ourselves from what Bob Marley would call this mental slavery, because that's what is going on, Kobe. This is the issue. So Africans need to see what they can do. At the moment, conditions are deteriorating, the crisis between Palestine and Israel, you understand, deteriorating economic conditions across the world, some supranational financial institutions, packaging and imposing economic policies on, developing countries, which they accept hook, line, and sinker, regardless of how it's likely to affect, the welfare and the well-being of their citizens and things like that. I feel, we need to, to heal ourselves of this inferiority complex and actually approach, global issues as co-equals. No country is actually, superior to any other country. At the end of the day, international relations are conducted on the basis of the sovereign equality of all nations. Each nation should actually respect the sovereignty of another nation. It doesn't make sense for one country to just sit down and actually package and impose decisions on other countries and things like that. We need to actually look inward and, reclaim our destiny.
Thank you very much, Mr. Doro, for taking us on that beautiful ride. We have come to a juncture, a place and a moment with which we'll just go on a short break. We'll be coming back, and when we do, it's going to be a whole lot of time. And so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion?
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs some love. You turn a blind eye nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It kill love, it kill dreams. It land people for jail. War against drug abuse. Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer, man?
Lovely, and thank you for staying tuned to Unity 93.3 FM and of course Unity TV. Beatrice Adamu is remains my name. You can just call me Kobe. That too is okay with me. We've just had a wonderful segment of Unity training with my brother Mr. Shaibu Udoro, and he's still in the studio, and this time together we would continue. But before we do that, it's good to get to know that I have in the studio Associate Professor Obet Gosele Nanju, who holds a BSc in Zoology from the University of Jos, MSc in Entomology and Parasitology from the University of Jos, and PhD in Biological Sciences from Bangkok University in the United Kingdom. Oh my, it's lovely in the studio. So you see, in the studio this morning, we have
the right man for the job.
I beg to say, a big fish. You know, so stay tuned and enjoy what we have for you today. And again, as a topic, we'll be dealing with these: science and technology and economic development in Plateau State. And so, let's just begin by this. It's a big one today, Prof. I wonder where to begin, but of course, Professor Bama, you would always advise me, just start it anywhere. What matters is that at least you have begun, so not the where at a point like this. And so Prof, you may need to tell us where is Plateau State at the moment in terms of science and technology? Have we utilized the developmental opportunities inherent in it?
Yeah, good morning, Beatrice and Shoaib. It's a pleasure coming to the studio. Good morning to esteemed listeners and viewers out there. Since swearing in, have been doing my best to ensure that I avoid coming on air.
Oh my!
Until when
You actually told me that. You did tell me that.
Until when I'm able to have the requisite, achievement that is expected before I come on air.
Yes.
And notwithstanding, considering that there is the need to quickly air out certain steps that could help in beaming the direction the government of Plateau State is embarking on. I thought there's a need to have the citizens of Plateau State enlightened about certain steps that were before now and the steps that we have taken. So I would love to start this way by appreciating His Excellency Governor Caleb Mutfang. He's been a wonderful personality, even right from time when he was the chairman of Mangu local government area. He has and is been very, very meticulous in ensuring that he, at the point of his, coming in to the mantle of the leadership in Plateau State, due diligence by ensuring that he outlines certain line of policy with the understanding that the time is now for Plateau State to take the right position where it is expected to be. Now, among some of the policies or the mantra of His Excellency that were outlined in the public speech for the citizens of Plateau State to get to understand and why they were eager to vote for him were one, in education and human resource development, agriculture and rural transformation, peace, security and social justice, infrastructure, industrialization, good governance, public health, environment, mineral development, taxation, requisite resource mobilization and inflow. Now, when you know that in the appointment of individuals to come into position, in the Nigeria setting, usually there are three factors that are taken into consideration. One, whether such individuals have the technical or they are technocrats or professionals in their fields of endeavors. Secondly, whether you have some of them that are politicians. And lastly, you always have those that would have, by reason, one reason or the other, tag as, please consider this person for this position. You don't think that if you look through the selection that His Excellency has been able to do, you find out that most of the people he's been able to bring on board are, one, technocrats and professionals, and secondly, politicians. But majority of those that were brought on board are technocrats. Now, when he was able to identify from the different local government area, the first thing he did was to ensure that these individuals go on a retreat. Because with the understanding that these individuals that he selected have already been treated. And there's the need for them to be retreated. And as such, we embark on a whole 1 week retreat at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, with the understanding that once we get rebirthed or retreated, we'll be able to carry out, the functions that is expected of, a government.
Yes.
Now, to our chagrin, when we came on board, we discovered that Plateau State is highly indebted with over 300 billion naira. I'm sure you already heard of that.
Definitely.
It's not a hidden fact. And with that on ground, it means that the requisite action that you need to put on ground to revamp the economy of Plateau State will require that what? You apply prudence, which is what? The needed fulcrum for wisdom. Now, we were able at the point of the retreat taught that never allow, yourself get diverted by saboteurs or people that might want to distract attention. Again, we also were able to get exposed to the understanding that wisdom is requisite for strength, for us to be able to execute and achieve over 90% of the expectations of the people of Plateau State. Because the expectations on us by the people of Plateau State is
enormous.
We are also able to understand that indolence is indeed a quest for freedom from pains, and that for us to be able to yield to the expectation of the people of Plateau State, there is a need for us not to be what? Slothful in carrying out, the work that could help better the lives of the people of Plateau State. We are also exposed to the understanding that there's a need for excellence in governance by increasing the heights of reasoning, It means that with the understanding that those who were brought on board have what it takes to deliver, there's the need for them to increase the height of reasoning. And also the need to, where necessary, enhance meritocracy above any other thing.
All right.
Now, again, we're also able to get to understand that there's a need for us to enhance patriotism to service for the people of Plateau State and also create wealth and sustain continuity. Corporate governance, which includes inclusion or inclusivity, deployment of emotional intelligence, self-correction where necessary, organizational justice, and also strategic planning and policy through the formulation of people-process technology, and ensuring that adequate time management and discipline is deployed through vision, clear perspective, balance, and communication of the ideas and vision. We're also able to learn that there's a need for good leadership and teamwork in the various ministries that we're designated to. And lastly, on the issue of e-governance, we talk about transparency, better services, efficiency, accountability, increase in participation, increased revenue generation, which encompasses all that's what is in e-governance. Of course, we're able to identify certain of the challenges or threats to the mantra, which has to do with insecurity, the finance, dead in skills, the opposition and saboteurs, and also, like I did stated earlier on, the expectations of the people of Plateau State. Our take then was, one, to rebuild what the cankerworms have eaten, restore the past glory of Plateau State, rebirth a new plateau as the time is now.
The time is now.
And then revamp all moribund units to create jobs and reinvigorate for revenue generation.
Now,
Prof,
Prof, sir.
yes.
Definitely. Prof can go on and on. Yeah, I mean, that's, also, one of our challenges as presenters when you have professors, on the seat and things, they can always go on and on and on. I mean, they've seen and learned and read too much and all of that. But Prof, sir, just to actually interrupt you at this juncture, you are the Commissioner for Science and Technology, right? And I'm sure when you came on board, certainly, you must have actually, you actually certainly have certain visions and aspirations and things you feel you will need to, do differently to, reposition the science and technology sector in Plateau State and all of that. But there must usually be challenges and all of that. How enormous, is the challenge on your hands as the State Commissioner for Science and Technology?
Beautiful question, Doro. When we came on board, we discovered that the Ministry of Science and Technology over the past few years has been one that you don't get to hear about. The ministry. Definitely. It's more like the dead end zone, if I should put it that way. So much so that most of the people, the civil servant who get posted there, feel as if that is more of a dead end for them. Now, but the understanding is that over the years, aside two individuals that were appointed in that particular ministry, to that particular ministry, most of the people that have been appointed there are either accountants or business management individuals, sociologists and others.
Not technocrats.
Not technocrat as in science-based or technologically based individuals. I think that could partly have been part of the problem. But I think that His Excellency has not made the mistake of appointing me there as the Commissioner for Science, Technology and Innovation in Plateau State. One thing I've always told people who come to discuss with me privately or in the open is that, you see, before now, as far back as when the IBB era, when there was a need to have the Ministry of Science and Technology put in place, it went underground, and then during Abacha, finally you have, in that order. Now, there's one thing that once the sun comes out, you can't stop it from getting to shine.
Definitely.
Now, that ministry, I always tell people, happens to be the mother of all ministries. Whether you talk about issue of finance, you need technology to help in what? Elucidating the activities in that particular unit, ministry. Whether you talk about agriculture, you still need science technology to what? Enhance what is done there. If you talk about the issue of education, you still need to, you need science technology and innovation in order to enhance its chances and make it more competitive or competitive with what is in the global setting. Whether you talk about the transportation, for instance now, you still need the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation to help what? Enhance what is expected within that particular ministry. Whether you talk about issue of security, you still need the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Now, the beautiful part is that among all the ministries in the federal setting, the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation happens to have one of the largest parastatals. A compendium of parastatals, about 18 parastatals embedded in one ministry alone. Whether you talk of the National Airspace Research Development Agency, where you have the likes of remote sensing, you still talk about science and technology. You talk about the issue of Natural Agency for Natural Medicine. It is still under the Ministry of Science and Technology. You talk about the parastatals like the National Board for Technology Incubation, where you have one very close to Bukuru there that are doing a lot of wonderful work. You're still under the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. When you talk about Energy Commission of Nigeria, it is still under the Ministry of Science and Technology.
You can go on and on.
I can go on and on and on and on.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, when I came on board, like you did mention on the issue of the animals, attacks there, I discovered that if you talk about, we only have at the moment two parastatals or agencies under us.
In Plateau State.
In Plateau State. Yes. That's the relevant board technology at Larantu there.
Yes.
You have the Science Equipment and Production Center, though it's not a parastatal, but a unit under the ministry. You still have the Plateau State Information and Communication Technology Development Agency. Now, if you go to the relevant board technology, for instance, now, when that particular place was created, or as far back as 1974, the intention was to have the middle, class well equipped in order to be able to address, the middle setting of the economy, empower them, the individuals, so that they can be self-reliant. But over the years, it so happened that because of the, should I use the word nonchalant attitude or concentration to that particular place, if you go down to the relevant board technology today, which has produced a lot of people, renowned individuals in Nigeria, if you go there, it's seriously a sorry sight.
It is.
And one of the things I must draw your attention, especially with the relevant board technology, for instance, now, is that you have the outlets in different places like Kwal, Demak, Lantang North, and others.
Definitely.
But suffice it to say that at the moment, there's serious encroachment too by people resident around that area.
The other place, yes.
So now I discovered partly because of the of the negligence to that particular parastatal.
By past administration.
By past administration. And with the discussions that have already been put in place,
Yes.
I know that the time is now
Alright.
for a revamping of that particular place.
Honorable Commissioner, and now what potential has Plateau in terms of science and technology, and how do you think we can derive maximum benefits in the shortest possible future?
All right. One of the beautiful things about Plateau State is that we're centrally located.
Yes.
And our thinking is that we should capitalize on our centrality to be able to, improve on one, revenue generation, two, on the issue of, job creation. Now, if you take a look at our setting, whether you're traveling from Lagos to Maiduguri, you pass through Plateau State. If you're traveling from Sokoto down to Cross River, you pass through Plateau State. And Plateau State has boundary to about, 5 or 7 states now.
Yes.
So it means that we can comfortably capitalize on our centrality in Nigeria to be able to what? Maximize
opportunities.
The opportunities
in science and technology.
In science and technology. Now, I've always had this argument with people who might likely want to say, if you take a look at Lagos, for instance, now, or Rivers, or what have you, that they tend to move a little bit faster than us. The argument is this: if you go down to the United States, for instance, now, most of the things concentrated of the beautiful schools, if I should use that word, Ivy League schools, are not centered in Washington, D.C.
Right.
You have a lot of them in the eastern part and also the western part of the United States.
And Washington is the capital.
Washington is the
country's capital.
If you talk about, you go down to Massachusetts, for instance, now, you have the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, you have the Harvard University, you have also Boston University. Now, if you go down to the west, you have the California Institute for Technology, you have California Institute of Technology, Irvine, San Francisco, and others. Now, the thing is, because these individuals have been able to identify those problems that you can develop without actually depending on the center. And I think Plateau State, God's willing, will, between now and the next 1 year, capitalize on that opportunity. And I promise you, I don't want to say anything on air because I'm not good at making mention of what is still at work. At that's incubated stage until when it gets to materialize. But I'll crave the indulgence of my listeners and the beautiful citizens of Plateau State that His Excellency Governor Caleb Mutfwang has been able to lay down a beautiful environment or setting for us to be able to ensure that beautiful investors or investors come into Plateau State. Between now and 1 year, I strongly believe that his quest for industrialization and commercialization of all parts of the various ministries will be enhanced.
Okay, very quickly, because we have just but 3 minutes to be out of this segment, and so you made mention of the Plateau State government at the moment wants to just make sure in terms of improving security on the plateau. So what do you think your ministry has to offer?
Is there a way we can, and you did mention something about, using science and technology to, enhance, security and all of that in your earlier submission. How best can we, employ science and technology to enhance, the security situation in Plateau State?
All right. In terms of the issue of security or insecurity, You must give it to His Excellency for the step he has taken so far. You could see that to a large extent there's a semblance of peace, and we pray that it continues that way so that he'll be able to execute the 7-point agenda he has for Plateau State. At the moment, issue of security, usually we don't discuss those on air, but I know that as a ministry, we've been able to identify certain, places that the issue of technology could, be deployed to further enhance the security architecture we presently have in the state.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's great.
Oh, thank you very much, Commissioner, for being in the studio. I think if you have any thing to round up as regards to what you expect the citizens to do in order to give you support as you embark on all of this function, you may want to say that in a minute before we get done this segment.
I would love to conclude by saying that we know the expectations of the people of Plateau State, and it's our desire to ensure that 90% or 95% of the earnings or expectations of Plateau State, is achieved or reached.
Is that feasible, sir?
Hopefully, God's willing, it is feasible. And I know that the competence of His Excellency will be brought to bear.
And people like you whom he has brought on board.
God's willing.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner, for coming. At this point, we'll just go on a short break. Our listener and our viewer, it's time for us to take a ride for a break, but we'll be right back. Just stay tuned. It will be your time when we come back. Stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Are you bored and need some company? Get a TV experience like no other on Unity TV. We are turning up the hits with captivating TV shows, electrifying political programs, music, movies, and lots more that will leave you craving. I'm sure you want to know more. Tune in to Unity TV today and let the excitement take over.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your
Thank you so much. It's good to know that you are still there with us on Unity 93.3 FM and TV. Petrus Adamoizi remains my name, and this very time we have been pushing it and making it happen real good this lovely Thursday morning with Honorable Commissioner for Science and Technology, Plateau State, Professor Obet Gosele, and it's been wonderful. And now is your time, our listener and our viewer. You can just call me on 070-3235-3315. And remember that you don't have to confront our guest or anyone in here or even out there. Okay, so just stick to the rules. What we do here is to make sure we promote peaceful coexistence. And so you may want to continue on that lane. And so remember also, comments made on this platform and not in any way the standpoint or position of Unity 93.3 FM and TV. Okay, you may also want to go through our social media platform. Just go to our Unity FM radio /TV. Just you'll be live with us. Drop your comment, and if you want to send in an SMS, do that very quickly so I'll be able to read them before we get done with this segment. So go 0808 478 9 in 4 places. 0808 478 9999 for SMS alone. And thank you. When you call, your name, where you're calling from, and then you go. In a minute, you make your points clear. Thank you so much for being there. Prof, I'll just let an interesting, a wonderful community of listeners and viewers. Each time they call, they explore a different angle that probably our thoughts would never have taken us there. And so we are so proud to have them. And so you'll be listening to them. And once we respond, we take maybe 1 or 2 calls and then read some comments on our social media platform. And then we give you time to respond later on. Let's just begin. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. You're on the guest in the house.
Thank you very much. Your name?
You and the guest have spoken very well, and this is the right step in the right direction.
All right, you're welcome.
And before I make my first comment, please,
hello? Okay, your line is breaking. It's not stable. Oh, mine. I want to believe that was Yakubu Saleh calling us from Nepal. But Yakubu Saleh, we apologize. It's not our making. You may need to call us back. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much. Your name?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Sadiq Umar. I'm calling from Jirgin.
Sadiq Umar, go on, please. You have a minute.
Yeah, actually, I want to commend the Honorable Commissioner in the House.
Yes,
you're welcome. Spoken very, very well.
Thank you.
And actually, just to tell you the kind of credible people that were in the present administration.
Yes.
Because with the kind of development that we are seeing in every commission, it shows you that the government is acting.
Yes.
And the people that are the government given the responsibility, the government has given the trust, and the people are doing the needful.
Yes.
And I'm commending the commissioner. You have done a lot in the same aspect. But we are calling on the government, especially this issue of road that is going on. Like we in record, the road has been started as emergency as it is. But this is top of the road. We have not seen anything, and we have seen that some work have been commencing in other areas.
Okay.
So we are calling on the government attention on that, our own community, so that it should be fulfilled as it has been started.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling. Sadiq Umar. After appreciating the fact that Mr. Honorable Commissioner is in the studio, he also craved indulgence and then attention to be given to road constructions. Hello,
good morning.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is Pastor Eric from Redfield.
Oh, Pastor Eric, it's good to have you. Please go on in a minute.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You know, when you started early this morning with plenty analysis of many things that is happening.
Yes.
Reality is that Nigeria doesn't need oratory voices. But we need action because of the situation we have found ourselves. I
Yes.
just in the house.
Yes.
Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I think it's a very nice choice for putting you in this office.
Thank you.
All right. He appreciates.
And with the analysis of what you have explained in the studio there, Plateau State is having hope that there is a square spread in the right hole.
Thank you, sir.
So we want to urge you, the commissioner, to do the needful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Having of Plateau State. Hello?
Yes, we're on.
Yes, I will send the demand that the needs of Plateau State, both whether insecurity, economy, and every other areas of our life in Plateau. And one more major thing is why the commissioners work, please. Look, before the people and do the work of unity.
Yes.
Unite the people of Plateau.
Thank you very much, Pastor Eric.
Give attention to the science and technology in a way that we use technology to fight insecurity.
Yes, thank
you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. Okay, always speaking about unity and peaceful coexistence. Thank you so much. You may want to be a part 07032353315. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Kupi.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
I'm so happy that Commissioner is in the studio this morning. My name is Kesley Barnabas, a.k.a. Who They Do Us.
Yes.
The government, they do us. But Commissioner, as you say here today, if you don't follow people who will do us.
All right, please go on in a minute.
What I have to say is, if you look at when you are coming, as you said, you have about 7 states that are coming through Plateau State to pass. When you are coming from Benue, Kaduna, and Bauchi and other states, you must pass through terminals, and more especially the heart of Plateau. This terminal, Ahmadu Bello and Motara Muhammadu Way. So when you come to terminals, they say that witness is worthy to holiness. And you look at the way terminals everywhere is messed up. More especially Motara Muhammadu Way and Ahmadu Bello Way towards Rampan, all those areas. Everywhere, the room is too much. And former local government chairman in Plateau State, former administration, they do get this civil defense corps. They have their heroes moving around. Any stand they saw in your front of your shop or your where you are selling, they have to stop and hold you responsible. Must package. There doesn't see any debris stop in front of terminals anywhere. All those areas.
Oh, thank
but
you.
Now, dustbin is too much, more than required.
Okay.
That is what I want to say.
Okay.
Another one is towards this governor. Thank God that he's a recent governor.
Yes.
I saw the way he did roads towards the Millionaire's Quarter and other places. I'm so happy on my side there. That is why I voted him in power.
Thank you very much.
Because I know that he's a recent governor.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, please, you should remember the road towards Shaka, Finai High School Road, and St. Jesus Catholic Road, and this Sisters Convent Road. All those roads was messed up. There's no good road about it. Even no single water. People are suffering that.
Thank you very much.
So you should remember us. So that is why I'm calling him to remind him.
All right.
God bless you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Commissioner. God bless you. Mr. Kuzi.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kingsley Barnabas, calling us from Terminus Market here in the city of Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kuzi.
Thank you very much, and amen already.
Mr. Doro and the guests in the studio.
Yeah, good morning.
God continue to bless you.
Amen.
You see, my take this morning is just to make Plateau State exceptional.
All
everyone that works outside Plateau State. Honestly speaking, that work very well as a technician or an artisan is from Plateau. There are always great gifted people on the Plateau. Look at Yantinka, look at a lot of construction going on in various places. Look at shoemaking. If we can encourage all these things, it goes a longer way. Look at WAMCO. If the government can invest more on WAMCO, and a lot will be achieved on the Plateau.
Yes.
Plateau State used to be exceptional. Because of the home office, but because of the little crisis and little challenges we are facing, I just changed the face of some things on the Plateau. So it's right time the honorable commissioner and the governor please continue to do the needful. We are seeing the good work the governor is doing and continue to commend them. We ensure that at least we should make Plateau State more exceptional the way it was. Thank you and God bless you.
Amen. Oh, thank you. Well, let's take to our Facebook page. This one is coming from Aminu Abdullahi Shuaibu. Say good morning, Kubi, Shuaibu Doro, and your guest in the studio. I'm watching you live from Rico's new layout. Actually, since the removal of fuel subsidy, many investments have increased because fuel also go with human activities. Absolutely, Nigeria people are really suffering in the height of commodities in the country, most especially could be Plateau State are owned in the worst facts. I wonder why in some other states it's different from us here in Jos. Our marketers are very, I won't take this one. Wallahi, Allah is with us. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for sending yours. And this one is from Maman Aliyu. Say good morning, unity to you all, and then good work. Keep it up. Allah continue to guide you. Thank you, Mama Aliyu. Then this one is coming from Kabiru Abdullahi Rocky Boy, Peace Ambassador. Say good morning, Unity FM. Thank you. I know you're watching. Thank you, Peace Ambassador. And this one is from Ismail Isa. Good morning, gentlemen of the press and all your guests. If I to be honest to our blessed country, what the newly appointed EFCC boss is saying is obvious and true. If no corruption, Nigeria deserves more than that. Perhaps the world now cannot do without technology because it helps the various agencies for rapid development. May God bless Plateau State and Nigeria as a whole. Thank you, Ismail Isa. And this one is coming from Rabiu Usman. Good morning, Uncle B, Mr. Doro, and the guest in the house. Corruption is one of the major factors that hindered development of the nation since the First Republic. Henceforth, politicians take it as their priority, not knowing that one day they won't be there. One Hausa proverb said, Ana wenke tukunya dongobe. Okay, please do the needful. Thank you very much, Rabiu. I think that's the much we can take on Facebook, and we just speak one or two more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Kumbi and Mr. Doro and the Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Morning. Yes, this is Pastor Henry J.J. Garaman at Young T of Doncaster.
Yes. Young T of Doncaster. Please go on in a minute.
Yes, well, the Commissioner has spoken exceptionally well. And one thing I want to urge the Honorable Commissioner, thank God he has, noticed the problem within his ministry. And what Plateau people want is for him to do things differently, because we can't continue to do things the same way and then expect a different result. We must change the approach of how we do things in order to get it right or get a different result.
Yes.
We believe in His Excellency by Pakala Blufan. We believe his competence. That's why Plateau people voted him. So we shouldn't put people to shame, because we have 3 years, only 3 years to the next election now. So please let the needful be done.
Thank you.
Plateau people need to be happy. In spite of what is happening, we need to be happy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Pastor Young T. I think we'll just let the Prof to respond to some of this very quickly. Prof, it's all your time now.
All right. Thank you, Kurbi, for the opportunity given to me to still talk. I mean, to talk on or respond to the comments made by those who eager who have been listening to the program, whether online or through the air.
Yes.
I must appreciate all of you for the beautiful comments made so far. It shows that people are eager to ensure that Plateau walk again, and that truly the time is now. But I also understand that we're going through pains at this particular time. The pains of having not to feed properly, the pains of transportation, the pains of a lot of them actually. Will not be able to tell you that Plateau State alone can address that problem, but that will crave the involvement of public-private partnership in order for us to be able to achieve setting of the agenda we have placed on ground, so that Plateau can benefit, Plateau citizens can benefit from them. On the issue of deploying of technology to address the issue of PEPSA, I would love to plead that you give us a little time between now and hopefully the first or second quarter of next year. You'll get to see beautiful wonders that will come up. And lastly, on the issue of what do you call it now? The road network in Rikos. You must give it to Barrister Caleb, His Excellency Barrister Caleb Mutfan, for the stride or the work that is ongoing at the moment, especially by the Ministry of Works. An individual met me on road the other day on my way to the work and said, "Wow, Kagiyama Barrister Caleb Mutfan, yes, Raina,
there have been such comments on daily basis. There have been such comments on daily basis.
Hopefully, on the issue of the insecurity that has to do with bikes, tricycle, motor, and others, very, very soon you'll get to see the actions that we've been able to put on ground. So I would love to plead that continue to pray for us and hope that, like we said, we're out under God's conviction to ensure that the agenda or the mantra, the 7-point agenda we've listed, comes to fruition. Of recent, His Excellency has been able to put up a committee on the ease for doing businesses in Plateau State. Once I leave here, I think I'll be partaking in that particular committee to ensure that all the points that the listeners have been able to raise are included and also go beyond that.
That's pragmatism, isn't it?
So keep faith with us. And I know that His Excellency is out to do all he can to secure Plateau State and ensure that wealth and increased revenue generation is put in place in Plateau State. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. and Commissioner, for being in the studio. Dora, I will let you give us your parting words.
Well, it will just be an additional message to the Honorable Commissioner for Science and Technology. He's promised to, convey some of, the messages of our callers to the Executive Governor. We hope he's going to do that. But just, to add to, to that, somebody raised the issue of, vocational, outlets like Enshanu, Ntinka, which are springing up. And you are the Commissioner for Science and Technology. I think it will be a good idea to also factor, those places into your, 7-point agenda, so that because these places are practically industries already, or what we can call mini industries already, with an additional push, a little intervention on the part of the government. We believe they can also do wonders.
Yes, I never wanted to say anything with regards to that. Like I've told you earlier on, that we've already gone ahead and package what will address most of these issues,
of
because we understand that there are silos of inventors out there, and you cannot just say you want to deal with them in their various silos. There is the need to, as is done in developed nations, bring them together and then ensure that at the point of exhibition you have panels that will now be able to identify one of the most advanced one among those ones, and then see if we can commercialize that for the betterment of Plateau State. May I also use the opportunity to invite our listeners to the Natural Medicine Day, which comes up on the 1st to 2nd of November 2023. While we're talking about the issue of natural medicine, you'll find out that you have pockets or individuals scattered out there who, at every instance, let me not use the word babalawo now, out there that they have drugs for sale. Anyone will just go into any bus or on the street. I think there's the need. We're thinking of how to regulate that in order to generate revenue for the state.
All right. Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
Are
you
we also
very much.
invited to?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. Just when we're about to call it a day for today's edition of Unity Train, here comes an SMS, and I'll read it very quickly, and then I will just say bye-bye. This one says, good morning, Kubi, Mr. Doro, and the Honorable Commissioner. I hope he will perform well and start making teaching technology from primary school. Okay, Sule from Lasisi, I want to believe he has taken note of that as well, and so he may not need to comment at this point because we have come to the end of it. So at this point, on behalf of everyone who made it possible that you receive our signals today, we are saying thank you, and we appreciate your patronage. You always tune to this very dial, and you don't only listen or watch, but you also call in and you make your wonderful contributions. You see, we cannot go an inch away without you on this program, and so thank you so much. Do have yourself a lovely day, but do stay tuned also for other programs on this very dial. Thank you. From me, Beatrice Adamo, Easy, I say bye-bye.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead.